Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the Set Piece. I'm Robert Grieve. As ever, Mr. Bill Leckie. Good morning, Bill.
Good morning.
Great to see you. There's been a lot going on in Scottish football in the past week. There are some fantastic games at the weekend. Cup game last night as well. There's a European game tomorrow night. Stuttgart against Celtic, going to that, or Celtic against Stuttgart.
Cup game tonight. I'm going
Cup
to.
game tonight as well. You're going up the road to. But first of all, let's look back.
Yes.
Brilliant fixtures at the weekend.
Magic.
Super Sunday.
Yeah.
Some big results. Celtic leave it late against Kelly. Come back, fair play to them. And obviously I was at Ibrox for the Rangers Hearts game. Phenomenal game. Really enjoyed it. What did you make of, just generally, what did you make of the drama?
It was brilliant.
Big drama, wasn't it?
It was brilliant. It was a great day for our Premiership because Sky had a big hole to fill with the FA Cup being on TNT and BBC. And those two games, there'll be a lot of people watching that who will have been quite taken aback by the level of, maybe not the quality sometimes, certainly not in the quality was higher in the Rangers Hearts game than it was in the Kelly Celtic game, but the drama in both, the fact that they were both end to end for 90 minutes, 11 goals, loads of chances, no VAR nonsense, just proper football. Two great games, great advert for Scottish football.
I actually heard somebody kind of comment on how well Sky did it. I know Sky got a bit of criticism.
They really built it up well.
They built it up well by all accounts. I was at Ibrox. I saw, we were in the press room before the Rangers game and saw the kind of second. I saw the second half from Rugby Park. They seemed to build it up well, didn't they?
They did it on the same level as they do.
Yeah.
Obviously with the Scottish pundits rather than the normal English pundits. But I thought they built it up. They sent up Gary Weaver, one of their English commentators, to do the Kelly Celtic game, and his commentary was excellent. And then they obviously had their panel at Ibrox, and they back over. And I thought, they did it really well. It was very. It wasn't overhyped. It was just, let's see how the games go, and the games spoke for themselves. Quite often, wrote this my column on Monday. Quite often they talk about Super Sunday down south, and you'll maybe get Man City against Arsenal or Man United against Chelsea, whatever. And the games turn out to be a bit tactical and a bit damp squibby. These two games I thought were just terrific from start to finish, and well played to everybody involved.
Yeah, absolutely. Echo that. What about Celtic? Because they left it late again. For me, I find it kind of unsustainable. I think if you're Martin O'Neill or anyone connected with Celtic, you're anxious and maybe a bit worried about how they're doing things. Now you can look at both sides of that coin. Mm-hmm. We talk about it all the time. We spoke about Hearts last week. In the Hibs game, if you leave it late and you win a game where you've not played particularly well, then power to you, and that's the kind of sign of champions as well was right. But at the same time, Kelly at home struggled, left it late. Livingston at home,
Dundee at home,
and they've done it again.
Yeah.
Can they keep maintaining this? For me, I think it's going to be a struggle for them to keep doing that. They're finding it hard work to win games that they should be winning comfortably.
I would say you're right, with the exception of the Martin O'Neill factor. We've talked before about his ability to get results and get players to go further than they think they can go. There's no doubt Celtic as a team for long spells of games have been stinking the place out. Their own fans are saying so. They're not enjoying the level of football. They're not enjoying the amount of mistakes they're making. In the first half, I thought Kelly were tremendous, and it could have been more than two. And he's made a lot of changes. He's been able to go to the bench and make a lot of changes. Is it sustainable? You would think not, but Martin O'Neill would probably say, why not? Why can't we keep playing he'll say, why can't we as a team keep playing right to the last second better than anybody else? Because it's a great Celtic tradition, isn't it, of winning right down at the wire.
Yeah, but the point is they're not playing well
they're terrible
throughout the game.
No, they're terrible.
And just getting the goals late. They're playing really poorly, and then having to kind of give themselves a shake.
Yeah, absolutely.
Presumably get a rollicking for the manager at half time and the assistants, and then go, right, okay, we need to get in gear here. That's what's unsustainable.
Yeah, that level of performance is playing right to the last kick.
Yeah, that's brilliant for them.
Is very Celtic-y.
Yeah.
All my life it's been like that. You never think you've beaten them. They can't keep playing as badly as they're playing. They just can't get away with that. And you'll see that against a team like Stuttgart probably in Europe tomorrow night.
We're coming on a minute.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is it's levels, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe if you're at home with Dundee, who have played out their skin and are a goal up with 10 seconds to go, as soon as Dundee lose the goal, you think Celtic are going to win extra time. Against Livingston, you're always thinking Celtic will score at some point because it's Livingston. Even against Killie, 2-0 down, you think if Celtic get the next goal, Celtic have got a great chance. As levels go up, that's when it'll become unsustainable.
Yeah. Well, what do you think it's down to? Because you look at the players that Celtic have, they've still got real quality there. I know they're missing guys, key players with injury, which has been a kind of big thing for them this season. I don't think we can underplay that.
No.
When you lose the quality of Jota, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Alistair Johnston, those are big players. I know. I mean, Jota has been out all season. Those are big players.
Yes.
And if had other injuries, Arnie Engels now is out for 4, 5, 6 weeks. But at the same time, there's big players in the Celtic team right now. Rio Hatate, Daizen Maeda, and others who are just miles off it.
I would have said on Sunday, and I think I named them in my column on Monday, Kasper Schmeichel, Austin Trusty, Rio Hatate, Daizen Maeda, empty shots. I don't know what's happened to Kasper Schmeichel. His positioning and his some of the decisions he's making are terrible for a man of his experience and his quality. He's a fantastic goalkeeper.
He was a fantastic goalkeeper.
Yeah, but you still, even if you're getting towards the end of your career, that second goal, his feet are all over the place. He's in the wrong position to start with. So Austin Trusty, I thought, was so soft on Sunday. He was just knocked all over the place. He was making terrible decisions. I'm going to throw Yang into this as well. Second goal, basically points at somebody and says, "You go, I'm all right here in the halfway line." You know, Hatate's doing nothing. Daizen Maeda's had 2 or 3 chances and just hasn't put his foot through the ball. So Celtic are probably playing at points in the game with 6 men. You know, and that's, against any opposition, that's going to catch you up at some point.
There's been criticism of Callum McGregor lately, which I find grossly unfair, because if you look at the guys in that midfield and you look at the job that he's been asked to do, I think he's got so much responsibility on his shoulders and he's getting so little help.
Yeah, you know, I think you're absolutely right.
There's criticism that I've heard of him, and don't get me wrong, maybe his own standards have dropped. I think he's had the weight of the world on his shoulders this season. I think the speculation over his own future before the kind of transfer window maybe weighed on him as well. However, he's getting zero help in there.
He's the one man in the Celtic team that you cannot take out of the team.
Yeah,
just about anybody else in that team on Sunday, you could have said, if they had somebody to replace them, you'd replace them, you know. And but Callum McGregor's the one constant for so many years now, who just ticks away and it's actually a huge compliment to him that people are saying that when he drops to maybe a 6.5, 7 out of 10, that he's not the Callum McGregor of old, but he's still a 1.5 ahead of the rest of the midfield, and he's still doing all the tidying up and the fetching and carrying that they could not possibly do without him.
Yeah, you look at Nygren, Benjamin Nygren there, who his goal return,
he's popping up with goals.
His goal return's been fantastic. Yeah. And without those goals, where are Celtic? However, you kind of watch him and you also wonder what else he actually brings to the team, because that's pretty much. Well, he doesn't bring enough for me.
I'd have him wide in the right instead of Yang. I don't think he's a centre. I don't think he's
not sure he's a wide player either.
Well, that's where he was before, and I think he'd be good at the way he comes into the box for goals. Reminds me of the way Abada used to do it, when he would come in off the right, when Jota would be on the left. Abada would make the run in to become almost a second centre forward. That's what Nygren's very good at. I don't think he's doing him a lot of good. Okay, they're missing Arnie Engels in the middle of the park as well. I'd be awful tempted if I was Martin O'Neill to start bringing in your Luke McCowns of the world, you know, and getting them in and saying, "Go on, son, show me how much this matters to you." Because I don't think it looks as if it matters to some of them.
Yeah, I
don't think it's hurting them.
As I mentioned there, Rio Hatate for me, who I've been on record on these podcasts, I've written it in the newspaper, time and again. For me, Rio Hatate has the potential to be one of the best players in the country.
Absolutely.
He's got all the talent in the world. He's a proper player, but he's checked out at Celtic. He does not look like a player who wants to be there.
No.
And that comes.
And that's for a long time.
And that's been for a number of months now.
Back to Brendan Rodgers' time.
Yeah, a number of months now.
Yeah.
And he looks like he's head somewhere else. He doesn't want to be there, and it oozes out of him.
Aye.
And I now think Martin O'Neill will have lost all faith in him.
Yeah.
I would not be surprised if you see Rio Hatate on the bench now continually. I think he will have lost his place in the starting team. I could be wrong, because of injuries, Arne Engel's missing, and there's various other issues there. But he doesn't look to me like a player that Martin O'Neill thinks he can trust now.
No.
And that's a damn an indictment when you think he's got all the quality in the world.
I felt right back to even last season, early on last season, I felt as if Brendan Rodgers was losing the rag with him a little bit and wasn't having him. And at some point I was actually thinking he'll go, but he hasn't gone, he's still there. But while you're there, it's incumbent upon you to give everything you've got. And I don't feel as if he is. Some players drift in and out of games and then they'll suddenly do, like Tom Nygren, might not be contributing a huge amount. Then he pops up a goal and you think, that's okay, that gets him past marks. I'm not seeing that with either Hatate or Maeda. I'm not seeing it with Yang often enough.
I don't think you can question Nygren's attitude
no,
or anything like that. Absolutely. In fact, the opposite. You know, I just think in moments he kind of drifts in and out of games. With Hatate, I think it's pure attitude. His body language stinks to the high heavens.
Absolutely.
And it kind of, as I say, it oozes out of him. And I think his teammates will be aware of that, and the opposition are aware of that.
Especially
you can almost tell, you can almost tell in the first 5 minutes for me when you watch Celtic whether Rodrigo Hatate's at it and he's going to have a good game.
When you remember the Hatate who arrived and settled in with Ange, and how dynamic he was and the shots he was taking from all over the place, his passing range, his willingness to get in and about people, it's just gone. And there'll be a million reasons for it. The guy might have stuff going on off the park, I don't know, there might be stuff in his head that's bothering him, you don't know. But it's not good enough. And I think at this stage of the season, when Martin O'Neill's only job is to find a way to win, I don't think that kind of attitude helps you win.
No.
And it's no surprise that he got hooked as early as he did. I
genuinely will be really surprised if we see him starting for Celtic for the next few weeks. I really do. I think he is.
Even without Engels?
I really do. As you say, there's other players there now. Yeah. I could be wrong, and maybe actually I'll be proved wrong because the European game on Thursday night. Yeah, but I also think there's an element of the European game this week isn't the most important game. The Stuttgart games, for me, I think Celtic can do with this game, this tie, like a hole in the head.
But they need Europe. They
don't need Europe. They don't need Europe.
You don't think so?
No,
you don't think Celtic want to?
No, I don't.
Want to make a run in Europe?
Honestly, Bill, I think if you're looking at the priorities right now, and I think from Martin O'Neill's perspective, having spoken to him about this before European games, I think he needs these games like a hole in the head. I think he will right now be thinking about Hibs on Sunday.
Well, I know he said that
Celtic are not going to win the Europa League.
I know he said at the weekend that he didn't even watch the Stuttgart game. It was on the TV on Saturday night because he was thinking about Kilmarnock, and that's a very Martin O'Neill thing to say. That's cool. I was kind of, it was a bit Martin-y at the time. I get that the league is the absolute number one priority, and Celtic still have a great chance, despite themselves, to win the league. Do you not think, when you see over the last few years what going deep into the Europa League has done for Rangers, financially and in terms of status, do you not think Celtic would want that as well?
There's no point in Celtic getting to the semi-finals of the Europa League and finishing second or third in the Premiership.
But they could do both.
They could.
If some players start getting a grip of themselves, they could do both.
They do not have the squad to do both. They do not have the players to do both. To play Thursday night, Sunday. I think Celtic will really struggle. I think they have struggled to do that this season.
We talked about this last week. There's a massive run of games coming up for Celtic.
Yeah.
Stuttgart home and away, 2 games against Rangers, Hibs, Aberdeen. There's a Motherwell game at the end of all this. It's a massive test for them. And again, I keep saying this, I think O'Neill's probably the only guy who could even come close to passing the test with them by wringing every last bit he can get out of them. But he's going to need players, the players I've named, and others, to do far better for big parts of games than they're doing. You're right, they can't rely on Araujo or whoever else pops up in the last 2 seconds, Oxlade-Chamberlain.
I think he's been really good, by the way, I have to say.
He's been a good signing,
And I tell you what, I think he's got real, we're talking about what body language and what guys kind of show. he's got a real personality.
He's a winner, there's no doubt.
Listen, the scenes were brilliant after when he scores and he jumps into the crowd. I love all that, it's fantastic. He's got real personality.
I thought he was going up the road in a supporters bus.
I know, he was literally climbing the steps. But with these Celtic, honestly, with these Celtic games, listen, when it comes to 8 o'clock on Thursday night, I'll be there. The crowd will probably be up for it. The players will be up for it. And I'm sure Martin will be up for it.
Yeah.
They'll be trying to win the game. I'm not saying that.
But do you think if they don't win the game that it's not going to break their hearts?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. And I also think if they lose the game by a few goals, it'll be very interesting to see what kind of team he puts out in the second leg. Because the second leg is a couple of days before they play Rangers at Ibrox. And, you know.
Well, there's the thing though, right? Celtic being Celtic could go out against Stuttgart tomorrow night and get a result that keeps them in the tie. They've shown that in Europe, that they can raise the game. If they're having to go to Stuttgart, still in the Europa League, a couple of days before they go to Ibrox, what does he do then?
Yeah, well, he'll play his team to win the game.
Yeah.
I'm not saying Celtic will play to lose.
No,
right?
no, I know
They're
you're
never going to do
not.
that, right? I'm just saying
that it wouldn't.
That I don't think Martin O'Neill
they won't cry about it.
Shed any tears if they get out to Stuttgart. In fact,
okay.
I'm convinced of it.
What do you think the fans will think?
I think they'll be the same. I think Celtic fans I don't want to speak for Celtic fans, but I would imagine their be-all and end-all right now is to win this league. And I think they're aware enough to realise that how close it's going to be and how they're watching their team struggle against Livingston, they're watching their team struggle against Dundee, they're watching their team struggle against Kilmarnock.
Yep.
And I think they'll be thinking, this is going to go to the wire. We're not going to win Europa League. This team is not good enough to win Europa League. So if we patch that and we can concentrate in the Premiership games, I think they'll be better set for these Premiership games without potential Thursday night European games. That's not always the case.
No.
And again, if they get through, fans will celebrate. If they get through again, they'll celebrate. Rightly so, so they should. But I'm telling you, for me, I think there's less chance of them winning the league the longer they go in the Europa League.
Very interesting. For me. I think you could be right because of the 3 squads at the top of the league, I think Celtic have the weakest squad at the moment in terms of attitude, a bit of depth, but certainly attitude and mentality. I think the other two.
It's a big ask to play Thursday night football away from home in a big European game, and the games are going to get tougher if they did get through. To then come back to a weekend game and play teams, and I know, that's what we're saying. Even teams at the bottom end of the Premiership are now giving Celtic a game. So it's not as if there's any gimmies at the minute.
No.
So they're going to be coming back to a tough game, and I don't think they've got the squad or the kind of capability to deal with that. But listen, they will want to get through. I hope they get through. It's always great to see a Scottish team get through. I'll be there. And yeah, as I say, if Celtic score in the last minute to beat Stuttgart, no one will jump higher than Martin O'Neill.
No.
Right? I'm not saying otherwise. However, I just think at the back of his mind, he will be thinking, if we go out in this game, fine, we've got through and we can now just focus on the league. Because as you say, they're third in the league right now. They're probably, I know some bookies have probably still got them favourites, but they're right up against it. But they're not out yet. They're right in the mix.
Yeah, the weekend helped
It's a 3-horse race now.
Hearts losing.
Yeah, it's
big for Celtic.
100%. There's a good argument. We'll come to Rangers and Hearts in a minute. But you could put up a good argument for Celtic winning the league.
Well, their game in hand is at Aberdeen, a place where they would think, right, you need to go up there. And if you're going to win the league, you need to go to Aberdeen and win.
And they've still got big players. I think Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain is a fantastic signing.
Yeah.
And I think he's only going to get better. He's already shown he's come on and made impacts in games already when he's probably 70% fit. Once he gets sharpness into him in the next week, 2 weeks, he could have the potential of being the player who's a game changer for Celtic. He's got so much quality, and I think that's a fantastic signing for them. So, you know, Celtic will get everything to play for. Do not discount Celtic by any stretch of the imagination. But as you say, the result of the weekend, winning so late, the fans are way up the road, jubilant about what happened. So,
do you know, there's nothing makes people feel better about themselves in football than winning
last minute goal. Huh?
You know, if Celtic had been 3-0 up on Sunday and Kelly come back to 3-2, people would have gone up the road saying, "Oh, this isn't very good."
Yeah.
But any game you win in the last kick of the ball is fantastic. But you were at Ibrox. It was a terrific game of football again.
Absolutely loved that.
And fair play to Rangers. Rangers earlier on the season, had they gone behind twice, would never have come back the way they did. And it was another sort of real box ticked for Danny Rowe and the way he makes his team play.
Yeah, absolutely. Hearts were great first half.
Two amazing goals, two terrific
two
goals.
Two brilliant goals, two really good goals. Albeit they conceded two really poor goals.
Yes.
From their point of view, they had a real chance to kind of turn Rangers and get through themselves when they lost possession.
Yeah.
Derek McInnes did his dinger down in the touchline. I was watching them as it happened, and Rangers score. But they were really good first half, as you say. Two really good goals. They punished Rangers for real lapses, real.
They pounced.
Raskin turning his back in the game.
I thought that was Fernandez's fault. There you go.
I think it was. They were both culpable, but for any midfielder in that situation, you just don't turn your back on the ball.
Yeah.
You just don't turn your back and kind of, I'm going that direction when the ball's there. You just don't. It's just.
Yeah.
So he was culpable as much as it was a kind of blind pass that was played into him. But no, Hearts were really good, and I kind of felt certain that they would score in the second half. But Rangers they were really good, and I think the crowd helped them. The crowd were up for it. It was a big atmosphere inside Ibrox. It felt like a big game. Danny Rowe actually mentioned that post-match. It was probably the first time he felt he'd experienced the real Ibrox, is what he kind of thinks about it as. And I could take his point because it was a big atmosphere in the stadium, but big win for Rangers.
And you've talked before on here about how you think there's a player in Youssef Chermiti.
I have.
And I've kind of been a little more sceptical about it. But there's two massive games this season where he's turned up with the goals that have made the difference.
Yeah, listen, you still have to debate whether Youssef Chermiti is going to be the 25 to 30 goal striker that should be wearing the number 9 Rangers jersey. Right? For me, anyone who wears that shirt, and we've seen it with our big pal Boydie and others, McCoist, others down the years, if you wear that jersey, you're playing in that position, it's a heavy weight on it, and you need to be delivering 25, 30 goals.
Yeah.
It's just non-negotiable.
Yeah.
I'm not sure Youssef Chermiti is that kind of player. However, what I will say is he's a big game player.
Yeah.
He's clearly, he's got something about him. He's only young still, but he's got that kind of presence about him that when he goes into these big games, clearly he thinks, I'm the main man. And I think that's what he brings to the team. He did it against Celtic at Celtic Park. He did it against Hearts. 3 really good goals.
Well, the last goal I thought summed up that entire Sunday when Hearts are battering forward trying to get equaliser and Gassama comes running out of basically out of his own box, carries the ball for miles. A classic last gasp breakaway goal, and Hearts players are just by that time are just out on their feet. But you couldn't deny that Rangers deserved that in the end. And we keep saying it every week. Danny Rowe is just one of these guys who just seems to get the best out of what he has.
Yeah,
he doesn't have any superstars. He doesn't have, but he also doesn't get what we're talking about with Celtic. He doesn't get what Rangers had earlier on the season of being 4 or 5 guys light in every game. They're all fighting their corner.
Yeah, but listen, they played Motherwell last midweek. I think he made mistakes in that game. When he said it pre-match that he was thinking about the Hearts game, think it, don't say it.
Yeah.
You know, come out and saying that for me is kind of a daft thing to say.
Yeah.
A lot of managers pick teams for 2 or 3 games to bounce, but don't say it. Arguably, Motherwell is as tough a game as playing Hearts.
By the way, arguably, right now, Motherwell are the best team in the league.
Yeah, you could put up an argument for that.
But
there was always going to be so much more on the Hearts way because they're league leaders, and rightly so. But what I'm saying is, don't come out and say that.
I know.
I don't think his substitutes were great in the game either. He kind of went really defensive in Motherwell when he should have been more proactive. For me, the game was won, and he kind of put on defender and kind of tried to kind of settle for and he kind of got the comeuppance as far as I'm concerned, because Motherwell kept going to the end and got the
especially Motherwell down to 10 men.
Yeah,
you know the Rangers should be managing that out.
Rangers should be putting that game to bed, but then because of the team that he picked and the changes that he made, he thinks he get the value in the Hearts game because the guys that he brought back in were fresher, and he felt kind of vindicated in his decision. Now, 4 points from those 2 games, it's not the worst.
No,
he would probably have taken that before the 2 games.
Because we've said before, Motherwell will take points off.
Yeah.
They could take points off all of them before the end of the season.
But that said, when you're 1-0 up against a team with 10 men, you should be getting a win. They should have had 6 points from those 2 games, and they'd be sitting so much prettier than they are right now. That said, at the minute, are Rangers favourites for the title?
Well, we come to this every week, and there's an argument for every week. There's an argument for all of them.
I think we're going to fluctuate.
Yeah, we talked last week about how do Hearts react if they drop off the top. Can they come back again? We're getting closer to finding out if that will be the case, because this weekend it could all change again. You've got, who have we got? Celtic playing Hibs.
Celtic Hibs on Sunday.
You've got Hearts playing Falkirk, and Rangers are at Livingston.
Yeah.
Right. So on paper they should all win. Rangers probably have the easiest game of the 3.
Yeah, but Livingston are fighting for their lives.
Yeah, but they're not getting results. They're falling just that little bit. They did well at Dundee at the weekend from being 2-0 down, but they're generally falling that wee bit short. However, it could all. This is a weekend where they should, if they're good enough, they should all be winning the game.
Yeah.
But things are going to change. Things are going to change again, and last week to next week to the week after, I think we could have a different opinion every week on who's going to win this thing.
Yeah, I think we have spoken about that before, and I think it's absolutely banging the money. I think it's going to be more.
And that's
like
the excitement of it.
As we go further
that's the
on.
joy of this league this season.
Because there's no way any of the teams are going to win every week.
No.
It's just not going to happen.
No.
I mean, they're going to play each other anyway, but it's like if Rangers were to slip up on Sunday, it wouldn't be the biggest surprise.
No.
If Celtic were to slip up, it wouldn't be the biggest surprise, and the same with Hearts.
Yeah.
So I think it is going to go up and down between now and the end of the season. I think it's going to make for real drama, more drama than we've seen. And it's just fantastic that we've got 3 teams in the hunt for it. But yeah, Hearts are still there, and as Derek McInnes, and I spoke to Claudio Braga after the game as well, at Ibrox, they were at pains to point out, we're still top of the league.
Yeah.
They're still there. And they've got a couple of home games now.
And players to come back.
Yeah, players. Shanklin will be back soon.
Devlin hopefully get back.
Hope Devlin maybe a wee bit further behind, but 2 big players for them. But they're still there or thereabouts. They're going to Ibrox and scoring twice.
Yeah.
They're playing well against Celtic. They're playing well against Hibs. Sorry. So they're not going anywhere. No. I think Derek McInnes was absolutely banging the money again post-match when he said, however this pans out, we're not going anywhere.
No.
We're going to regroup. He actually said post-match, and I said to him about, is it important that players don't kind of feel too low about this result, that they kind of almost shrug it off, and he went, I'll stop you right there. He says, they actually caught me in my tracks when I started to make that point.
Yeah.
They were talking about it.
Yeah.
Before Derek McInnes spoke, he kind of after the game at Ibrox, the players were already saying, right, we move on.
Yeah.
We're going this direction, and I think that speaks volumes. There's a kind of mentality within the group that they are top, that they're going to lose, they're going to maybe drop points here and there, but they've got the kind of wherewithal to deal with that.
Yeah.
And 2 home games now. I think they have to get 6 points.
They have to get 6 points.
In these 2 home games.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's at Falkirk and Livy.
Yeah.
I think they play. So yeah, I think they're going to be right in amongst it. So obviously they're going to be right in amongst it, but I don't see them falling away and just drifting out of this. It's just not going to happen.
And I do still think if they were knocked off the top in the next few weeks in some way,
still back.
I still think they can come back.
I wouldn't discount them.
No.
We said that last week. I would not discount them by any stretch.
What about the bottom end, Robert?
Do we really need to talk about the bottom end?
Because the League Cup winners are being dragged in a little bit. I mean, 2-0 to Kilmarnock on Sunday. If you're a St Mirren supporter, you're thinking, okay, this is not very good. And I thought, and again, I had seen Kelly against us in the midweek when they won 4-3. Haven't seen them beat Aberdeen 3-0, and I thought this is a Kilmarnock team that's now got something about them. They'll be. I mean, I think Neil McCann came away not feeling disappointed, but he said feeling angry that they didn't take end from the game, and I can see why. They fell back into that old trap of getting deeper and deeper. They also lost. They lost a couple of players through injury, and but the bottom's getting really. I mean, by the way, because Dundee are still just ahead of St Mirren, who are just ahead of Kilmarnock. Aberdeen aren't out of it. Aberdeen are only 5 points clear of that, and they're not out of it by any means.
Well, I'm going to make a bold prediction. I like a prediction.
Yes, you do.
I make big predictions in a set piece. We're going to Miami. I said we're going to Miami. I talk about Youssef Chermiti being a big game player. He's proved me right. St Mirren are going to finish 11th, and they're going to win the Scottish Cup. You heard it here first.
And so are St Mirren going to win the playoff then?
Yeah.
Who are they going to play in the playoff?
Well,
do you know who's in the Championship?
Yeah, I'm well aware. Could be Thistle, could be one or two others. I think it might be Thistle actually. I fancy them being second or being in the playoff, getting through the playoff system. I think someone, whoever they play in the playoff, would be good enough to stay up. But
we'll win the Scottish Cup as well as the League Cup.
Cup double.
Cup double and
Cup double.
That would be something special.
Here's a question for you.
What?
Here's a question for you.
What's that?
Would you take winning the Scottish Cup to go with the League Cup and get relegated? Do you think the team and the players would take that?
No.
No?
No. No, you don't want to be relegated.
You don't want to be relegated, but would you take it?
It's only happened in British football history, it's only happened to two teams that have won a cup and been relegated in the same season. It's Man City in the 30s and Wigan in 2013.
I think I would take it.
No, not see, when it came to October and St Mirren were playing at Arbroath in the Championship, you would say, I wish we had stayed up.
You'd have two big trophies sitting on a mantelpiece.
Well,
two big trophies that kids would talk about for the rest of their lives.
Can we not have the two big trophies and stay up?
Well, that's what I think will happen.
Right, there you go.
I think that's what's going to happen.
Yeah,
I think there's a real chance, by the way, that St Mirren are going to get the Scottish Cup final.
Yeah, I genuinely don't think St Mirren will finish 11th.
You don't?
No.
Who's it going to be?
I think Dundee.
It's just wishful thinking.
It's maybe wishful thinking, because at the moment, by the way, there's no logical reason that tells me that St Mirren are going to get out of this, because they're just not defending well.
Let's be honest about it.
All the things that St Mirren are good at, they're not doing.
Let's be honest about it. If we're sitting here as two football writers who have no connection or affiliation with St Mirren, we're not saying St Mirren will be fine.
No.
Because they're not playing great, they're not picking up points, they're struggling to score goals, they've lost their mojo.
Yeah, but let me make a wee prediction here as well.
Go for it.
Right, I'm at Aberdeen against Motherwell in the Cup.
Yeah.
Now, Aberdeen beating Motherwell in the Cup might turn their season around. Aberdeen losing and their season basically being over, they're 11 points behind 6th place at the moment. They're sitting in 8th. They're only 5 points ahead of the playoff area. They would really need to watch themselves, because although from what I could see at the weekend against Motherwell, they've made a few signings who seem to have improved them, they still lost. They're still making the same kind of mistakes, and they don't have a manager, and he looks as if he doesn't want to come in until the summer. They really have to have a look at themselves, because if they get knocked out of the Cup, and I think it's a game that can go either way, although I think Motherwell are a terrific team up there, cold Wednesday night, you don't know. But if Aberdeen were to get out the Cup, they then have nothing to look forward to apart from survival.
Yeah.
And that's a very difficult place to be.
Yeah, I think if you're Motherwell right enough, I think the Scottish Cup is something they will really have their eye on.
Absolutely.
Because as you say, we all say, they are one of the best teams in the league by a country mile.
And they're going to be top 6 now.
They're going to be top 6. Some people have still got them as potential champions.
Yeah.
They're probably just a little bit out of that reach. But you're right, it's a tough game for them to have. But if they get through, I think they'll have a real eye on the Scottish Cup.
The cup's opening up nicely, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been brilliant. Listen, I'm saying someone they're going to get the final, and I'm saying they're going to win it.
Still got to beat Partick Thistle.
Maybe wishful thinking, that's what I was about to say. Partick Thistle will fancy their chances going to Paisley the next round.
Yeah.
We'll talk about these games close to the time, obviously, but Thistle are doing really well, and they will be looking at St Mirren and how they're toiling to win games, and they'll think, I mean, Airdrie, they watched Airdrie. Can I almost?
Well, I certainly wouldn't have wanted to be going to Firhill instead. I'm glad it's at Paisley. But the cup's going to be great. We'll talk about that as the next couple of weeks go on. Where are you going this weekend?
I've got Celtic on Sunday. I've got Stuttgart on a Thursday night at Celtic Park. Celtic Hibs on Sunday, and then I'm away to Stuttgart next week.
So you won't be with me next week?
No, I'll be in Germany.
Will I get the real Roger Hannah next week?
The real Roger Hannah.
I've got Aberdeen Motherwell in the Cup tonight. I'll then spend 2 days in a sauna somewhere to try and thaw out. And then St Mirren Motherwell at the weird time of whatever it is on Saturday night.
What do you make of that? It's
a nonsense. It's a nonsense.
There are some weird and wonderful times, aren't there?
Do you know what?
Saturday night games.
Do you know what? We're going to come back to this in a while, but see the Scottish Cup, 4 quarter-finals, none of them on a Saturday afternoon at 3 o'clock. You've got a Friday night, you've got a Saturday night, you've got a Sunday after, whatever it is. And I just think I'm all for people being able to see games. You know, I like the fact that if you know, you can't get to games, or you know, you don't have the money to go to games, or you're older, or you're housebound, whatever, great to see the games. But it seems to be at the expense of sanity of when games are meant to kick off. You know, St Mirren playing Motherwell on a Saturday night at 7. I can't see any gain in that for anybody.
No.
You know, and we've had this all season, 8 o'clock Saturday nights, and Steny against Falkirk in the Cup at 7:45 on a Sunday night. And it's too much for me.
Your diehards are going to go regardless of when it is.
Yes.
You could play it at midnight on the Moon,
yes,
and there'll be some fans who would go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same as Motherwell fans who would go. But make it easier for fans.
Absolutely.
You know, there will be a core, a stronghold of fans there who don't want to be going at that time on a Saturday night.
And it's also
like going out with a wife, or taking the kids somewhere else, or going to the pictures, whatever else it is.
And even if you do want to watch it, it's on another platform that requires another subscription.
Yeah.
You know, and I think we're making it at a time when we're trying to sell the game. Scotland are going to the World Cup. It's a massive time for Scottish football. We had a weekend there where those 2 games are on Sky. It's seen all over the world. It's brilliant for Scottish football. I think we need to be more concerned about what the actual people in Scotland want. The product as it affects the people who are there every week. Those people who would go there at midnight in the Moon, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to cheese them off, because once they go, it's very hard to get them back. And I just think Saturday night games are even silly decisions like Monday night there. The FA Cup was Macclesfield against Brentford. They made the draw for the next round before the game was played. Stennismuir Falkirk, which goes to extra time. They then make the draw at 10:15, which for a very practical point of view, if you're working for a newspaper, you're struggling to get in the paper. People are going,
but even fans
I'm not staying up for them.
But even fans who've been at the game, and like, why not make it...
Make the draw before, so everybody's got something to look forward to.
Also make the draw an event.
Yeah, make it an event.
Make it an event. Just it almost make it the worst point in the day when everybody's switching off. And here was the draw.
Aye.
It's like, why are sponsors happy with that? And why are the...
Well, that's a question, because we are desperate to sell the game, and then we sell everybody else short.
Yeah. What about, before we finish up, we're nearly done here, but you were wanting to touch on the referees a little bit.
I'm in a minority in this argument, but I'm going to say it anyway.
Well, yeah, in a minority, there's only 2 of us, so...
No, but I mean...
It take much to be in a minority when there's 2 of us having the discussion.
I don't think you can be in a minority when
there's that's what I'm saying.
But I mean, in general, this. We talked before about referees not taking responsibility on the park, and we talked about a couple of big decisions.
You did.
Well, we talked about it.
Yeah.
Right, and my feeling is that since VAR came in, referees have been less likely to take responsibility. The big argument down south at the weekend was the Villa-Newcastle game, where there was no VAR in the FA Cup, and the referee and his assistants made a couple of absolutely shocking decisions, and the argument was that they're now terrified if there's no VAR. My feeling up here sometimes is that referees are not making the big decisions because there is VAR.
I'd agree with that.
I think we saw it in the Motherwell Rangers game. I think that was a stick-on red card for Fadiga when he's gone down the back of Mikey Moore's Achilles.
Yep.
It's a yellow card by the on-field referee, Steve McLean.
Yeah.
And it then gets upgraded to a red, which is the right decision.
Yeah.
We saw the same with the Austin Trusty one in the Hearts Celtic game.
Yeah.
I was then at Falkirk on Saturday, where younger referee Ryan Lee gives a yellow card for a challenge, very cynical challenge, right on the halfway line, where I think there's plenty cover. It goes to the VAR, who happens to be Steve McLean, and it's instantly upgraded to a red card. And I find that whole... I find that it's getting easier for referees to make decisions when they're sitting in the studio than it is for them to make it when they're on the park. And I don't think that should be the case. VAR's not meant to re-referee.
No, but it is. But what I was going to say to you, and I've said this before, when Willie Collins putting together his list of referees for games, the most important guy is the guy in the VAR room. Because he's the guy who's ultimately making the decision.
Well, in the VAR...
Whatever the referee thinks that he's got the final say, he kind of has, but it's the VAR who's saying, go and have another look at that. Now, in instances like that, with the Austin Trusty one at Tynecastle and the one at Falkirk the weekend, I thought they were very, very similar. And I think you've got a better view when you watch it again. I saw the TV clips of it at the time, and I thought, red card, and I still think red card. I think it's well done to them, because for me it was a red card.
I didn't think it was a red card, but I don't think the argument here is whether it was a red card or it wasn't. I think the argument is over who's refereeing the game.
Yeah, but with instances like that,
I
think it's easier to make the decision when you've got the better view of it.
Therefore,
I think when you're on pitch level and it's hard to see, is he?
Therefore, it's
hard to see whether he is 10 yards further back. I think it's a hard thing to do, and I think it's actually been proven to be a hard thing to do because they get those decisions kind of wrong.
Yeah. So
it's only when we're watching it on TV or when the VAR's watching it on TV, they go, no, that's a red card.
So therefore, it's making it less important that the referee makes the right decision because he knows that VAR will do the heavy lifting for him. And I don't think that's right. I don't think that's what VAR is meant to be.
No, it's maybe not right because it's almost programming the referees in the pitch. For other instances, for me, in an incident like that, I can understand it. I can understand why they get it wrong because I think there's perspective involved.
I don't think he did get it wrong. I thought he got it right.
Well, but that's an argument and you're saying it doesn't matter. I think he did get it. Right. I think the VAR got it right. I thought it was a red card. My point is, when there's perspective involved in terms of who's further away from who, and I think that's where the VAR, who's got a view of that on the pitch, is better than the guy who's down on the pitch. So I think that's good. The point I would agree with is that it kind of programmes referees
not to make
inadvertently to not make other decisions when they should be making decisions. For me in the Motherwell Rangers game, Stephen McLean, terrible game. He gave Rangers a free kick when I think it was John Souttar sitting in the ball and Rangers get the free kick. Yeah. And you're like, why have you come to that conclusion? There was other ones. I think Chermiti barges into someone, lets a yellow card, lets it go. I think a couple of Motherwell instances as well, he lets it go. You're like, he had a bad game. And I think maybe VAR isn't helping him because he's thinking, well, and I think that's what's happening. With the bigger decisions, I think VAR is there for a reason. And in those instances, that's where it's working. They're getting decisions right. For me, that was the right decision. But I agree with you. What's happening is referees are then taking themselves out of little things and going, well, if that's a bad challenge, like the red card one in Motherwell game, it's a red card all day long.
With the naked eye,
and he should see that, but he's gone yellow, and then, all right, okay, overturned. Whereas Willie Collum, 15 years ago, doesn't get that chance.
No.
Willie Collum, and by the way, Willie Collum used to get slaughtered. By and large, he got those decisions right.
But he was,
he did.
I don't know, I'm not so sure. Willie used to be, and he knows that because we talked about this when he was on the podcast was last year. Willie used to
think he was too quick.
He was far too quick to make decisions. And I think he would probably encourage other referees to take 5-10 seconds just to have a wee think and make an excuse to, I'll talk to you in a minute and then go for his card. But Willie used to be a wee sharpshooter, gunslinger. But I
maybe it's human error, Bill. What I was going to say, maybe it's human error. Maybe it's human nature. Sorry,
see, human error is what it was meant to take away.
Sorry, maybe it's human nature that
if somebody's there,
somebody in the background's going to go, you know what I mean, then you're just going, all right, okay, I've got that. He'll bail me out, and that's just what's happening, and it's not really their fault. It's just human nature.
That's the point I'm making, is that whether it's conscious or unconscious, referees are starting to gradually step away from taking responsibility, and I think that's a bad thing for referees, because they're going to have to go and, at some point, maybe referee a game in a cup tie where there's no...
Yeah.
Now, for instance, the Airdrie game, Airdrie, we talked about last week, Airdrie something in the cup.
Should have a penalty.
Stick on penalty. Yeah. Not given, no VAR. Now,
David Friel still insists it wasn't a penalty.
He's the only man in the world, doesn't he? Penalty. So I'm just concerned about referees just now not having the courage of their convictions to say, either, if I'm Ryan Lee on Saturday, I'm saying, I don't think it's a red card because I think Lewis Nielsen's covering and he's quicker than Max Waters, the striker. I think if he goes to the thing, he should say, no, I'm right.
I think what you have to appreciate though, right, there will be instances on the pitch during a game where a referee doesn't know. Mm-hmm. Something's happened.
Yes.
Right? Like the Falkirk game, whatever it is, something's happened and he has to make a decision and he ultimately wouldn't put his life on it being either or.
But you have to.
But he has to make a decision. So he goes yellow.
We all have to.
Right, that's what I'm saying, but he goes yellow. And again, human nature. It's like referees aren't going to get every decision right. So I think for me, it's the ones that you go, how the hell has he missed that?
Yeah.
With an incident like those...
That's what VAR's for.
That's what VAR's for. But I think with those ones, as I say, I think there's going to be instances where he doesn't know, and I think those ones where he's running through and he's at pitch level, and we've all been in a pitch, so it's hard to say.
But it's completely... But what I'm saying here, Robert, is it's completely subjective about whether Lewis Nielsen will catch Max Waters or not, right? And it's not like the Trusty one where Willie Collum would probably say to you, if you Photoshop Trusty out, Kabori's clean through and goal. I don't think Waters is clean through and goal. And where it's subjective, I don't think VAR should be overturning what the referee says.
But they're not overturning.
But you know what I'm saying? Recommending.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But in that instant, if you're a strong referee, you still think, and there's been enough examples of it now, where you can form an opinion and you say, well, in that situation, I think he is going to get back, or blah, blah, blah. Referee could go over the morning and look to him and went, no.
That's what I
had a good view of it.
I was disappointed he didn't do that.
And he's well within his rights to do that.
Yeah.
He's well within his rights to do that. But I do think, and I keep repeating myself here, but I think in those instances where is the guy running through, is there a last man, is the guy going to get back? I think that's actually very hard to see when you're running behind an angle pitch level. Whereas if you take yourself, the pitch is there and you're above it, you can go, all right, okay, and we watch it over and over again in replays. And
if that is, the guys in the VAR studio know who's quicker than who.
Yeah, but you also can't just take in. It's like the old thing is a goal scoring opportunity. Well, if it was Henrik Larsson or Chris Boyd,
well, everyone's a goal scoring opportunity, isn't it? Because Waters might have hit it for the halfway line that might have got in the net, so it's a goal scoring opportunity.
Is it a clear and obvious?
I don't think it is. Anyway, there you go. So that's my wee argument this week.
I thought it was. As usual, he's talking nonsense.
I know. This is Robert Grieve's answer to anything he doesn't agree with. He's talking nonsense.
Well, it's the Robert Grieve set piece, isn't it? Thanks for joining us this week on the Robert Grieve set piece with my special guest, Bill Leckie. We'll catch up with you next week after all the weekend action.